Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bullony Basketball. As you can see, I'm joined here by a very special guest, a familiar face on the channel, my guy Gaurav, also known as G. How's it going, my man?
What's up, man? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. I know I've had you on some tournaments in the past. We've never really, I guess, chopped it up, talking ball, but I guess that's what we're going to do today. And we do have
Yeah.
a mini game at the end, of course, so you guys have to stay tuned. But I think we should start with these conference finals recaps, and I think we'll start off with probably the more entertaining one, even though it felt like both these series were really quick. But between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks, I think after beating the defending champion Nuggets, everyone thought Minnesota, the free pass to the finals essentially, and Dallas was like, not so fast. Like, you can't overlook Kyrie and Luca. And they just came out and as a team they played really well, winning in five. So I'll give you the floor first. What are your biggest takeaways from this series?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, I actually had this finals going in. I had Mavs Celtics at the beginning of the playoffs
Wow.
as this finals. So I wasn't really too surprised. I definitely was surprised that the Wolves were able to take down the Nuggets just because it's they outside of Gobert and Conley, they don't really have any other guys who have too much playoff experience. Cat like somewhat,
Mm-hmm.
but especially like Ant leading that team is just it's just crazy in like year 3 or 4. Um, but I'm I really like the Mavs still, but I think the Mavs they're working really well together. Like you said, like outside of Luka and Kyrie, I was more focused on the role players. Like just thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it, I was talking to my friends the other day that thinking about that Gafford and PJ Washington were on two of the worst teams in the league
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 months ago, and to think where they are now, being key pieces on a being key pieces in a starting rotation on a finals team is just crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
So those were my biggest takeaways from that series. I think it's just crazy the chemistry that they've built up in the short time that they've been on the Mavs has been awesome.
Yeah, man. Like, honestly, I think that's part of it too. It's like, as much as Kyrie and Luca are great, it's like we've seen teams at least now. It's like you can't win just off superstar talent. If that was the case, I mean, the Suns probably would have done a lot better against the Timberwolves. But the point is, like, you look at these other guys like a Gafford, as you said, or a PJ Washington, or a Derek Jones Jr. And part of me is a little bitter as a Bulls fan because it's like, some of these guys we had Gafford, we had Derek Jones Jr., and gave up on him when it just made no sense. But I'll leave that for another day. The point is that, like, they like play their role perfectly, and like even I know they lost the game like when Lively was out, but like still, it's like Gafford came in and he made like a huge impact. Like, I don't think it was a shoe in they were gonna win Game 3. Like, Lively was out, I think, second quarters when he went down,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think the Timberwolves came and got a lead, and then like Gafford made critical plays late. And they just have like timely baskets that they've had. Like, even in the last game, I know Kleber missed a lot of time, but like he was
Mm-hmm.
starting to hit shots, and then Jaden Hardy was getting going. I think it was maybe Game 2 where like Tim Hardaway Jr. was hitting some shots. Like, they have a lot of different ways they can turn. And when it came to the Timberwolves, it's like they do have a lot of depth. I think they have like 8 or 9 players that can really contribute. But I think the point is, like, they only have like one guy that can consistently get a basket, and that's Anthony Edwards. And really, I think Cat should be that too. It's just sometimes I don't think he plays like I don't think he plays with the mindset that I'm 7 feet tall and I'm pretty much 99.9% of the time bigger than my matchup. Because he took a lot of threes, and I get it. He's one of the best shooters we've ever seen, but there has to come a point where it's like if the shot's not falling, you just gotta like make the most of it inside. Like, he was doing that against Denver and stuff like that, and it was working. He was doing that against Phoenix, it was working. But I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on that part of it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I think Cat, like, he has to recognize that when he and Gobert are literally like the Twin Towers, like almost, I won't go that far yet, but they're like almost 2.0 there. He has to recognize that besides like Gafford and Lively are really the only guys who can do anything to them in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess PJ Washington can guard five occasionally, but like Cat, like you have 2 7-footers and they're not taking advantage of that. I just didn't understand that. You can even in a when the Mavs and the when the Mavs were running a zone against the Wolves, you can run high low. That's literally the easiest way to get rid of a zone
Right.
or break the zone. So I never understood that. But I want to go back to the point you're talking about the depth of the Wolves.
Mm.
I definitely underestimated. I know a lot of people did as well. That we underestimated the depth of the Mavs. Like you're talking about Hardy and Derrick Jones as well. I think it's just awesome to see like where and one thing I was really shocked about is that Hardaway played in the previous series and he didn't play a lot this year. I don't know if he was still nursing his injury, but he didn't play a lot this series at all. And they still managed to kill the Wolves in 5. So I don't know if he's still a rotational player with the Mavs, but he's I mean I was just shocked he didn't get any time, but I mean I'm so surprised at the Mavs depth overall.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I think part of it is maybe like situational too, because like I mean they were even saying on it like at least if you've been watching the Mavs like recently in the playoffs, like with this series and maybe like closing that OKC series, it's like you wouldn't look at this team and believe like Tim Hardaway Jr. was the third leading scorer in the regular
Right.
season with the team. It like feels out of place. But
Yeah.
it's like obviously they got Washington and Gafford at the deadline, and like other guys have stepped up, but it's just like I mean, it's interesting to see how they're gonna match up then in the Celtic or in the finals because it's like, what route are they necessarily going to go? But I think there's a lot of ways that they can do that. Like, and I feel like honestly, I mean, I shouldn't jump ahead too far there. Like I was gonna get to my finals preview a little bit, but the point is, yeah, I mean I'm with you. I think that the Mavs like I did think they were gonna win this series. I think before the playoffs, I had Dallas and Denver though in the conference finals. I was not expecting the Timberwolves to beat
I
Denver,
did too, yeah.
um, but I also thought Dallas was probably the second most equipped team from the start of the playoffs to get to the finals, and now they are. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add on Dallas's part or Minnesota's.
No, I think I'm good there.
All right, well we can progress here. We can talk about the less interesting series, the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. And it's a little unfortunate because like it seems like a less interesting series, but like a lot of these games are actually close. But I think obviously with Halliburton going down, and then it really never felt like a series after like really not even at the end of game 2, like midway through game 2 when you knew Halliburton was injured. So just on both sides of this, like what do you make of the Celtics and the Pacers from this series?
Yeah, I will say I'm a huge Halliburton fan. Like since his
Mm.
Iowa State days, I've been a huge fan, and so I become somewhat of a Pacers fan the past couple seasons that he's been in Indy. So it was pretty heartbreaking to see them go down like that. Especially, I'm not a big like if that happened, but
Mm.
like coulda shoulda woulda. The Pacers could have been up 3-1.
Yeah.
Like in reality, they blew the game like what Nemhard had 2 turnovers in the last 15 or 20 seconds in 2 of those games, and like I was really disappointed. But that gives me a little more hope for the Mavs now because even without Porzingis, obviously the Celtics were killing everyone in the East,
Mm.
and you can call it a Mickey Mouse run or whatever. But like the fact of the matter is like they're in the finals, like they're here for a reason, and they probably would have been here anyways. But I think with Porzingis, like they're a really really tough team to beat, just because he spaces the floor so much as a stretch big,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be tough. I can't imagine Lively or Gafford are gonna be in Porzingis, just because they can. Like, I mean, he can shoot the ball and like he can just attack them
Mm.
too. So I would see like PJ Washington or maybe Derrick Jones might be stretching it to guard KP if he comes back game 1, but I honestly still like the Mavs at this point. So with all that being said, just because the way like the chemistry of the Mavs is so impeccable right now, and I think they're on a hot one right now, just killing the Wolves by whatever 20, 25 points in
Mm.
the last game. Celtics have also had so much more time to rest. When did they? When was their last game? Was it
I think it was Monday.
Monday? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like a week and a half to rest versus I guess a week. It's not
Mm.
too crazy, but I still think the Celtics are playing out of their minds, of course. And one thing I will say, I'm really glad they're using Pritchard, not just in a case where someone's injured. I think Pritchard has been or could have been a really solid role player for any team in the league. I'm glad he's getting time now. So I just want to say that. But
Mm.
the guys are using also like Hauser, Pritchard, Cornette is even getting time. Like it's they're another team that has like so much depth, and it's unreal to think about because it's making me a little nervous against the Mavs, but I think it's definitely gonna be a 7 game series. Yeah, I'm still gonna go with the Mavs.
Yeah. I guess before I jump to my finals thing, just on this Celtics Pacers series, I do agree with you. I think that it very easily could have been 3-1, and I think it's a little bit of a shame too, because it's like, sometimes you could say, well, that's an if, like as you're saying and stuff like that, but it's like realistically, I think it could have been if, like, I feel like they kind of got robbed by a critical call in game one when it went off Siakam. It's like, yeah, I know. I think Rick Carlisle said I should have moved the ball up and everything like that, but like Jaylen Brown was like holding like Pascal Siakam's jersey, and
Yeah,
then you could argue he fouled him again. So I feel like they really shouldn't have even got the ball there. The Pacers could have probably won that game. Now game two, they were gonna get washed away anyways. But I mean, this is a team who hadn't lost at home, and they're missing a guy who really for the first half of the year was like up there as like clutch player of the year type of conversations.
mm-hmm.
So like you're probably not going to close those games. I mean, pretty sure they were undefeated at home in the playoffs up until that point too. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's like maybe they could have still lost one of those games, but I think it goes in their favor. More than like probably and that's just like kind of the unfortunate part. And like Boston, like they haven't really been challenged, and like as much as it's like it's so easy to say that, it's like you really look at it and it's like they haven't. I mean, they've played three teams that are lower than 50 wins on the season. The Mavericks have played three 50-plus win teams, and granted, this Boston run, every best player on the other team, Jimmy Butler, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Halliburton, all missed like parts of the series, and like even other players too. It's like Karis LeVert and Jared Allen, and you know what I mean. So
yeah.
it's really hard to like take like what you've seen maybe in that Pacers series. It's like, did they overcome their clutch demons and stuff like that? Well, now we're going into a matchup with two of the most clutch players in the backcourt, not only just in the league now, but like ever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like this series doesn't really tell me a whole lot. I mean, I still expected the Celtics to win, probably even if Tyrese Halliburton played. But I feel like there wasn't like much of a challenge there. Same thing like with the other series. So, um, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add on the Pacers or just the Celtics winning that series yet? Or
Yeah. I don't know. I see where you're coming from. I do. Yeah, I agree. It's like they haven't really been challenged, like you said, but I don't know. The Pacers, like Tyrese, it's not like Tyrese was. I'm not discounting him at all, but the way he was performing in the play in several games against the Knicks
mm,
and the Celtics, like he was not the main scorer. Like obviously Siakam
mm,
was a go-to guy, and Turner had a huge contribution, especially in the Knicks series. But that I was just concerned, like even without Tyrese's scoring, maybe his facilitation was definitely missed, but like the Pacers were still the number one scoring team in the league. So I don't know. Like obviously the Celtics are a great two-way team, but I guess yeah, I guess they weren't really challenged too much, but I mean they'll definitely be challenged in the finals.
yeah, I mean Jaylen Brown even said they had guys like T.J. McConnell playing like Michael Jordan in that
Yeah,
series, like just to make it a competitive sweep. So
yeah,
I don't know, but I mean we could move on to our I guess finals preview. I know you already kind of alluded to your finals pick, but I guess if you want to restate it and then I guess tell me a little bit more in depth why that will happen.
sure, yeah. So I'm gonna go Mavs in 7 right now. I might switch it up and go Mavs in 6, just because I don't know what the status of Porzingis is. I mean, he's projected to play game one, but if he misses any game, they're not winning that game. But I like I said, I think the Mavs chemistry right now is just really good. And now that the Celtics isn't, but the Mavs are like everyone is playing so well together on both ends of the floor. And I think I didn't realize until I guess I didn't know DJJ on the Heat was a good defender, but I didn't think he would be the primary defender for a guard like on Ant or anything like that. So I was pretty surprised about that. But the way they're playing on defense, especially I think right now, is the part that I'm most focused on. Just because obviously the Mavs are a really good transition team. Celtics are probably one of the best transition teams in the league. But I think I don't know. I think I'm focused most on the defense right now. I'm just concerned about who's gonna guard JB and Tatum, and like how they're actually gonna do. Because I mean Tatum, he was doing well against the Pacers, but he had what like the 17-point third quarter in game two, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Game
Yeah,
two, yeah.
game two, and I mean he's been erupting pretty late in every game so far, or at least in the Pacers series. So I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm just most concerned about the Mavs defense and stopping all the pieces that the Celtics have right now.
Yeah, I think you know, I guess my prediction, I think it'll be I do like okay, so I want it to be Mavs in 7, just like you. Um but I think it's going to be Mavs in 6.
Okay.
I do kind of want it to be Mavs in 7 because I feel like it's for an obvious reason. I think most of us are at this point where like we want to see Kyrie get his revenge on Boston.
Yeah.
But it's not only just get his revenge on Boston, but if it was in Boston, that would be like even crazier. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
true.
like I couldn't even imagine like if they were hoisting the Larry O'Brien Trophy, doing the presentation in Boston,
Oh my
and
goodness.
like they're asking him questions, and like that might be the loudest a player's ever been booed on a
Yeah.
championship trophy thing ever. But it would be kind of funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think the Mavericks will win in 6. I think game one they'll come out and win right away because I mean for one the Celtics haven't really seen a team like that. Like their biggest challenge probably in the whole playoffs was I would say Cleveland, but even then it's like they lost Donovan Mitchell pretty quickly, and they didn't have Jared Allen the whole time. So it's like this is going to be completely different than maybe anything they've seen thus far, and I don't think they're going to be ready for it. I think having a week off, like I was saying to myself when they lost Game 4 of the Mavericks, I was like, well, they need to like it's not the end of the world, but I think they need to win Game 5 so that they can get enough rest. Because if you go Game 6, Game 7, yeah, you're probably still going to win this series. Because no one's ever come back down 3-0, but it might hinder you for the next one. And so
Yeah.
I think the fact that they ended Game 5 pretty emphatically, I think that was huge.
Yeah.
And then I think it's enough rest for a guy like Luca who desperately needs it. I mean, this is a guy who it's like basically went 6 games like the first round, and then even though he went 6 in the second round, it's like their game 6 was only one day before the Timberwolves game 7, so you really didn't get much rest. So
Right.
now he's finally going to get some, so I think that'll be huge. And the
Yeah.
other thing is like from a mindset standpoint, I don't think like someone like Kyrie who's been to the finals like 3 times already, I don't think he's going to lose focus of it. And a lot of those times he got there were by way of sweeps. I think 2 of the 3, well, one time it was a sweep, one time it was a gentleman's sweep, I think. But the point is, like, he's gotten to the finals with a lot of rest prior to that, so I think he
Mhm.
already knows how to handle it. A guy like Luca, who, yeah, he's never been to the finals like the Celtics, but he's been playing pro since he was 13 years old.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna be like phased by the bright lights or anything like that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Whereas maybe some of these supporting Celtics players, and maybe once again some of these Celtics primary players could,
Yeah.
even though they went to the finals before. So
Right.
I feel like Mavericks will win game 1. Boston will retaliate, and then in Dallas, I think that they've just played like pretty well for the most part. So I feel like
Yeah.
they'll take care of things at home. Boston will respond game 5, and the Mavericks will win a very close game 6. I don't know. I don't know if you picked out game by game what you think, but I don't know what you think about that.
No, I like the sound of that. I think Boston takes game one, Dallas two, three, four, and then like you said, if it were to go in six, it would be Boston five, and then Dallas are back at home in
Mm.
six. But um, if it were in seven, I'd probably go Boston, Dallas. Oof. I don't know. I would have to think more about that, just because I don't think the Mavs are not losing at home.
Yeah.
I'm so confident about that.
It gets tough. I mean, honestly, like they could, like I guess for the sake of making it a 7 game series, it could be down 2-0, but I just don't think the Mavericks will lose two in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I
I agree.
I don't think they've lost two in a row all. No, they haven't because they lost the game, then won two, then lost one, then won
Yeah,
two, lost one, won two, lost one, won like four, and then they lost again, then won. So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like, and that's the other part of it too. It's like they respond very well. I'm confident if they
yeah,
lose a game that they're going to respond, and that's why even if they did lose a game one, I'm pretty confident they're going to at least win one in Boston because we've seen the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler do it. We've seen the Cleveland
yeah,
Cavaliers without Jared Allen do it. So they're not
yeah,
like some invincible team. They really
yeah,
should have
true.
lost game one to the Pacers, we were saying. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I do think, this will be a big series for like who's guarding the stars. And as weird as it might seem, because I know Drew Holiday and Derek White are all defensive level players, but I feel like the impact defensively will be felt more from PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. on
yeah,
Tatum
sure.
and Brown.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But yeah.
And the final thing I wanted to add on that was
Mm,
just I think it's really helpful that Dallas has a coach who's played in multiple finals himself, like with
mm,
New Jersey and Dallas himself. So I think that's going to be play a huge part. And like, I mean, Joe Mazzulla, I can't even remember him in the league. I'm not gonna lie, but like like I remember I thought it was funny. Like last week or a couple weeks ago, he was like, I'm not good at basketball, but I'm a good coach or something." He said something like
mm.
that. But I think it's gonna be real helpful that Kid is actually like he has like what you want in a coach, someone who's been to the finals and who's taking you to the finals.
Mm. I think only like 6 coaches have ever done that too, where it's like they've won a title as a player and a coach for like the same
Yeah,
team. So
sure.
that'd be exclusive company. And like you said, Joe Mazzulla,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's the youngest coach still in the NBA or second youngest or something like that. So,
yeah, I
um,
think so. Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like it's a little different too because it's like it wouldn't seem like it because it was just 2 years ago, but it's like when they made the finals, they had Ime Udoka.
right,
Like it was
right. Yeah,
things were different. Like now he's
yeah,
got a game plan for a final setting, which he's not
yeah,
used to. Whereas Jason Kidd, it's like you said, he played with the Mavs, he played two with the Nets. So I feel like this is kind of familiar territory for him.
yeah. Definitely. Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. If you want, we can move on though to this next topic. Just a little, I guess a quote that I found here, and I think it'd be an interesting thing to talk about. But with Tyrese Halliburton, after they got eliminated, he basically came out and said that one thing that he learned the most in the playoffs was that more times than not, the healthier team wins, which is an interesting perspective from an NBA player. I mean, I think we've heard this like over and over and over again, maybe from like the average fan. It's like, oh well, the hospital ring or what, you know what I mean, like all this sorts of stuff. But it's interesting from an actual NBA player saying it. So I guess I'll ask you, do you think that's the case? And if so, like when do you think that started becoming the case?
yeah. I would say I agree with that. I mean, you obviously always hear like the best availability is availability,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's shown in this playoffs particularly more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's ironic that Hallie's saying that just because at the end of the Knicks series, every every starting five player from the beginning of the season was out for the Knicks.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I as much as I love the Pacers, like they were not winning that series if everyone was healthy. But to Hallie's point, like that's definitely been a case. I'm trying to think as far back as I'm trying to think as like far back, but I can't remember the last time that might have not been a case. Just because like if you're in the playoffs, obviously everyone should be healthy,
Mm.
but like I don't even know. Like another case would be like Kawhi. I'm gonna ask you this: do you think the Clippers with Kawhi would have beat the Mavs this year?
Um, I think if he was healthy, probably because I like honestly I picked the Mavs in 7, but that was also because I didn't know how healthy Kawhi would be.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know if they would have won the championship this year though or not because I still thought Denver was probably a better team.
yeah,
Um,
sure.
but yeah, I guess that would answer it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean that I guess I'm trying to think is like pretty far back to see when this might not be the case. Do you have any examples of yourself?
I mean, there's a lot of there's just a lot of examples where it, like is the case. I mean, like even in
Yeah, right.
years like when the Raptors won, it's like the KD was injured and stuff like that, or when the Warriors won their first title and like Kyrie and Kevin Love, or
Yeah,
this guy behind me. You could argue that in the first
yeah,
game of the playoffs. Like there's just so many ways, and sometimes like they're not even like directly against a champion. Like I mean, that's one like with Rose, like that wasn't against a championship team, but it changed the outcome of the series. And so
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of ways like you could look at that from another perspective. Like, well, when Kevin Durant, like not just in 2019, but it's like in 2020 when he missed the entire season, and
Right.
it was the bubble year. It's like maybe they could have been better, or
Yeah.
like Kawhi 2 years ago when he didn't play the whole season, maybe they could
Mhm.
have been a nice team, or Jamal Murray then. Like
Right.
there, so there's just a lot of ways. I think I don't know if it was always as noticeable though. Is the thing. Like I feel like
Mhm.
there's always been injuries, like no matter what,
Right.
but I don't know if there's been as many like star player injuries as in
Yeah.
recent years. If that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to like I don't know if like I'm thinking like when Kobe won like his second, like his fourth and fifth one, and
Yeah.
like the Celtics like Big Four, like a lot of those times like there wasn't maybe too many injuries,
Yeah.
and before that like in the 90s 80s, but I think like obviously like you could pinpoint to like Rose, but I feel like probably every year since maybe like the Kyrie and Kevin Love, like there's always been like some key notable injuries.
Yeah.
And
I
I
agree.
feel
Yeah.
like then with that, I mean, it kind of does become the case.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. No, that's a great point you make. Yeah. I think it's just I don't know. I mean, I'll say it again. Like the best availability is availability. If you're not healthy, like it's you're not probably not going to win the series. But um, I guess I don't know if Hallie's coming from a place where if he was saying if he's healthy, they're beating the Celtics. Because like
Mm,
I mean, I don't think
yeah.
that's still happening. But I don't know. Is like we said, there's a lot of cases that where it's like it is the cases, but it's tougher to think when a key player has been out and that team has still won the series.
Mm. I'm just like curious if someone, I guess, like Uno reversed the question on him and was like, "Well, if that's the case, is that why you guys beat the Bucks? Is that why you guys beat the Knicks? Or because like they were like really healthy compared to these other
Yeah,
teams up until that point, and then all of a sudden like it kind of bit them in the butt against Boston.
yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely, yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think it's the case. I think it's probably been a consistent theme over the past decade, and that's why like over time it becomes like less and less like I think honestly like when I'm bringing up like Rose again, like because like superstar injuries were so like not frequent at that point, like it's so that's why we talk about it so much. Like
yeah,
that injury, it's like that shouldn't have happened. We weren't
yeah,
expecting that, even though throughout that season he had injuries. But then it's
right,
like now you see, oh, Tyrese Halliburton missed half a series. Oh, Donovan Mitchell missed half a series. Jimmy Butler's out for the playoffs, and it's almost like a, oh well, you know, like that's almost like how it feels at this point. It's just like the
yeah,
injuries are so
true,
common.
yeah,
It's like, oh well, it just happened.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add on that or.
No, I think we covered most of it. Yeah,
Well, then we can jump right into this little mini game to close the show.
Sure.
This is the NBA word search mini game. So, my guy G, I have 30 NBA players now. It could be their first name or their last name in this word search. Some of them are worth 5 points, some of them are worth 3 points, some of them are worth one. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes. And as soon as you see a name on there, I'm going to tell you if it's, yep, that's in there. And I'll tell you how many points you get. And basically, your goal is to just keep finding names and saying names. If there's a name on there or whatever that's not on my list, it probably wouldn't count, but maybe we could arrange something where I give you an extra point or something at the end there. If it is an NBA player's name, because I'm not gonna lie, like I've checked over the word search, but some of them might have flipped my mind. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's 30 players. You'll have 5 minutes, and I think in the last minute, I'm going to double the points. So every 5 pointer becomes 10 points, threes become 6, and ones become 2.
Sweet.
So are you ready?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. So I need to ask you, first of all, though, to close your eyes while I get the word search up.
Okay.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can go. There's 30 rows.
Oh my god.
I know.
All right. LeBron.
LeBron is a 5-pointer. Alrighty. Good job.
God. Is it going up? Is it going like bottom top too?
Yeah, it goes diagonal, bottom to top,
Okay.
like all sorts of ways.
All right.
There's a lot of weird ones. Or like, yeah. You're almost 1 minute through. So,
All right. Let's see. Markkinen.
Markkinen is a 1-pointer. Okay, got 6 points. Not bad. Not bad.
Jokic.
Jokic is a 3-pointer. All right, you're cooking now. Got 9 points.
Tatum.
Tatum is also a 3-pointer. I won't give away too much, but I feel like there's a lot of diagonals in this.
Okay, that might be helpful.
So, you're almost 2 minutes through, though.
Oh, phenomenal. Is that James, like Anton Jameson?
Antoine Jameson, yep, that is one. That's a 1-pointer.
All right. Wagner, Mo, or
Yep,
Franz?
yep, that's a 1-pointer. I put just the last name because it goes
Okay.
for both. I'm trying to see which ones I can see that you haven't said yet.
Walton.
Walton is a 1-pointer. You're halfway through also.
Oh, phenomenal. Let's go.
Right now you got 15 points. It's pretty good. The diagonals would trip me up on a board this big.
Yeah, no kidding.
I see one though that's horizontal that you have not said yet.
Okay. Luca.
Luca is a 3-pointer. Good job, good job. You got about a minute and a half left.
All right.
Hmm. I'm kind of like playing with you because I didn't look too much over it, so I'm trying to find where these names are too a little bit. Hmm. You got 1 minute left. These are double points now.
All right, let's see. Kareem.
Kareem is a 5-pointer, so that's gonna be 10 points. Nice. You got 30 seconds.
Need one more. Let's do this. Come on.
This is kind of gone by fast, actually. 20 seconds. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's time.
Darn.
You still did get a lot of them though. So you got LeBron was 5 points, Jokic was 3, Luka was 3, Tatum was 3, and then you got Markkanen, Walton, Jameson, and Wagner, which is 18. Plus you got Kareem, which was a double point one. So that brings your score still to 28 points. That's pretty good.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Now I'll show you the results and everything like that. So
oh my God, Wade, are you kidding me?
Yeah, Wade is on there. Curry and Rose right next to each other.
Okay. Oh, Marley's that's a good one. Kobe.
The one I saw was Dirk. I was like, oh, he got to get Dirk.
Where was Dirk? Oh, was it Nowitzki?
Yeah, it was just Dirk. It was in the 8th or 9th row.
I see it, yeah.
Yeah, but you got Jameson, Wagner, Luka, Michael Redd was in there.
That's a shame that Ohio State kid did not get Michael Redd.
That is. Westbrook, Hachimura was over there.
Okay.
Clay, Giannis. Some of the 5-pointer you missed out though on 3 5-pointers that were kind of tough. So Jordan, if you see it's like diagonal, like in the middle or middle left there. There was Kobe was another one. It was diagonal right by Red, and then Shaq, which is
Shaq.
It's kind of, if you look at LeBron at the bottom, like move up above the O like 8 letters. That's where the Q is for Shaq.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, okay. Dang, you weren't kidding. A lot of these are diagonal.
Yeah, they were a lot of, like, the word search was not nice, honestly, on this one, because they literally put like 8 of them diagonal the same place, and so it's like if you found one of them, like you might have found all of them, but
sure.
Yeah, you found the Kareem one late, which was
I found
good.
Kareem, which oh man.
I feel like if you had more time though, you might have been able to get like Jordan and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, still like Harden was on there too. I'm trying to see like what other ones I didn't say. Dan Marley, that one would have been crazy if you got that one.
Yeah. Turkoglu's, that's a good put in too.
Durant, Malik Monk, I don't know if you see that kind of in the middle there. Kawhi.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, still, 28 points though still is not too bad. How do you feel about that score?
Pretty good. I mean, when you were rattling off the names, I was like, oh, I actually didn't do too bad. I'll take my score.
Yeah, honestly, like I thought, like at first I was thinking like, man, this might be too hard because there's like too many rows and stuff like that. But then you started rattling off. You're like, I think you went like LeBron, Markkanen, like Tatum, like just like that, and I was like, okay, like he's in the groove or something. Yeah, I don't know how well I would have done it, especially like the diagonals. Like those are always the weirdest ones. I don't know for sure. Like I think some of them were backwards diagonal, but I don't know for sure if there were any like backwards horizontal. I'd have to like double check that. But you still, 28 points is, I've never done this with anyone before, so you're technically the leader. Like you're the king, the king of the NBA word search game. But yeah, man. still, like, it was pretty impressive showing, and I feel like, this is a pretty chill show. I think it was
Yeah.
good. I'm glad we could collab on this because, like I said,
Yeah,
we've
me
done the
too.
tournaments and stuff like that. I know we talk on social media a lot, but
Yeah.
it's good to collab again. And so,
Yeah.
um, glad we can make this work. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. Be sure to let us know your finals picks down below. I don't know if you got anything else you want to add before we wrap this one up.
Yeah. No. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Go Mavs.
Yes, sir. Go Mavs. We're both rooting for the Mavs. Sorry to all Celtics fans, like Reek knows hoops. I know he's gonna be so salty. We're like, go Mavs. But at the end of the day, like, we'll just have to see what happens. I think it'll be one of the better final series we've seen in a
Definitely.
while. So,
Yeah.
and that's all you could ask for. We just need them healthy.
Yeah.
Like, stay healthy, everybody.
Yeah.
But again, appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and we're out. Peace.